had a question that came in the night, a parent who said that they're using skills, loving skills, but they're particularly interested in information about pill swallowing, that their child is taking a bunch of medicine and that they could use some help and support in that arena. And I thought you'd be a great person to talk about that. We always say that we don't give child-specific advice because that would be a disservice to any child. We're not saying to do that. But some helpful tips about some of the different ways in which parents have gotten success with pill swallowing. Ready, set, go.
Okay, so number one, pill swallowing is a tricky one because you're dealing with something that could be very, very dangerous. If your child chokes, or if you think that there's a possibility that your child is going to choke. So you want to make sure first that there aren't any physiological issues with being able to swallow foods and pills and those types of things. So, if that's an issue, then I probably wouldn't even go any further. You'll probably want to consult with a medical professional first, or someone who has a lot of experience with children that have these physiological, difficulties to begin with.
But if your child is eating normal foods and has no issues, then what can you do?
With this one, it's really the same as any other skill. So you want to start, at the very, very beginning. So a lot of the times, vitamins are huge. They're, it's scary to think of, even an adult swallowing these huge pills. It's a long process, I think, is the first thing to know, because you have to start at the very, very beginning. And really what we do is we've, for the children that we've done pill swallowing with, is we've broken down things that are able to be swallowed without any harmful effects. And figured out sizes to start with and kind of very gradually increasing those sizes. So the first thing we typically start with is like a half of a lentil, like a dry lentil. And those things are tiny. And there's no problem swallowing a lentil. As long as you don't consume large quantities of dried lentils, you're probably fine. So we start there and teach the child first to swallow that. Each child is different. Most kids will swallow the lentil without even knowing that they're swallowing it because it's so tiny. You reinforce that, and then you keep going until they're not scared of that anymore, and you move up to the next size. Some kids have a lot of difficulty with you even putting something foreign into their mouth. So if you have that sort of an issue, you'll want to figure out how to tackle that first. And I wouldn't even deal with anything in terms of pill swallowing if you have that issue. Just get your child okay with being able to put things into their mouth that are edible, that they may not have had before, something that's not going to taste weird or yucky or that they're going to hate. And just get them to trust you.
Because it's a one dry lentil doesn't have any taste.
And then you move up, to things that are like the size of a little Tic Tac, those little, breath mint things. And you pick what things you're okay with your child consuming that are specific sizes. And the key is to do it gradually to get your child to let you put it in their mouth, or even better, for them to put it in their own mouth, to swallow it with liquid and reinforce that, and then you move on until you get to the size of whatever pill you want your child to be taking.
And there are even empty capsules that you can buy so that you can get that opportunity that you guys always talk about, that the more opportunities that you have, and obviously you don't want to give the same vitamin 12 times in one day, but you can get an empty capsule and try it 12 times in one day, and it's not going to
and you can fill it with various things. I think, I'm not even sure what we filled it with. It might have just been like cellulose or some powdery type thing, so that the weight of the actual capsule is the same. And you can buy fairly small gelatin capsules, but we tend to go even smaller than that, which is where like the lentil comes in, because those things are tiny. And just work up from there.
Okay, now where are you on the cups? There are a couple of different cups that manufacturers make. There's one that's the nose cup that I've never figured out how to use the nose cup. It's got a cutout for the nose. I never found that to be a problem. And then there's another one that looks like a sippy cup that you can put the pill in. That mystified me too, although I know a lot of parents say that was helpful to them. Do you even bother to use anything like that when you're doing it?
I haven't. I haven't had a lot of kids who were very, very resistant to this. Once you really broke it down and started at the beginning, it ended up not being a huge issue. It's when you get to, really large size things, like kids that have to swallow the pill cam for any sort of, camera in there.
Stuff.
Yeah. Those things are big, and it doesn't look like a pill. It's kind of scary looking.
Yeah, I could think adults would kind of balk at that.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be okay with that either. Yeah. So for that, you may want to try different cups and different things if it doesn't go well. But
one of the things that and everything that you talked that really jumps out at me because it's what made the difference for Jem. I think finding your moment too is ideal, and we just hadn't pushed it, and then a friend of his, we were having a play date, and the friend's mom had said, he just started being able to swallow his pills, and he got this big treat for it, and Jem looked at me like, well, excuse me,
why haven't you done
where
this for
is
me?
my treat?
Right.
And I was like, okay, this is the moment then. He's sort of asking for it. And I said, all right, well, if we go home and if you're able to take your pills like your friend, then we'll do this.
Yeah.
And it was done.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Like I was mentioning with kids who have trouble swallowing just in general, and you want to make sure you deal with that issue first. Any issues you can foresee that have nothing to do with actually swallowing a pill but that are present, like noncompliance, like not wanting to put things in their mouth that aren't their most preferred foods, whatever it is, deal with that stuff first before you even then move on to swallowing pills.
Because then it's not the battle.
Exactly.
You never want to be involved in the battle.
Exactly.
I know one family that here in Southern California that it was such a big deal that there was a child that had to take so many pills. And it was such a big deal, and it was a drag for everybody. And so the deal was that if the first time he swallowed a pill, they would stop everything and go to Disneyland. It didn't matter what day it was, that they would leave. And if it was at nighttime, they would go and get a hotel room. And I think it was less than a week after they put that rule in force that he swallowed the pill, and the whole family, you want to talk about reinforcing, because the whole family was like a party, and they went right from the pill swallowing to the car and followed through on it, which you have to be willing to follow through. But I always think of that and think, sometimes it's really about the reinforcement.
It's always about the reinforcement. And that's the important part. So set the expectation. Yeah. Give them what needs to happen and what they're going to get for doing it, and do it.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully that'll work, and for you watching at home and writing to let us know about your success.
Right.
Thank you so much for being here today. It is always such a pleasure to have you come in and talk, and I hope we can have you again soon, although I hate to pull you away from the other things.
It's okay. This is fun.
Okay, good.